Hey, I'm Bryce. I'm from Vermont. I'm on staff in Burlington, Vermont, and I'm playing guitar and singing on the Urbana 15 worship team. I started leading worship when I was 14, freshman in high school at my church back home. Basically, one of our youth leaders told me, "I'll buy you a guitar if you promise how to learn how to play and lead the worship team." And so I started leading worship that way, just learning pretty much one chord at a time. Kind of the journey went from there. I led worship in college, went to a Christian college in the Boston area, and then have continued into my work with InterVarsity. The first time I ever went to Urbana, I think I was just really struck by 16,000 college students together in one place, worshiping Jesus, and especially being able to do that in all different kinds of worship styles and worship traditions and different languages. And to me, I think it really shaped my view of God, because God became so much bigger than he was before in my mind, because he allows us to approach him in so many different ways, in just a beautiful diversity of forms, and he loves and is honored by each one. And so being able to take that back to campus, I think was very valuable for me. Well, I grew up in Vermont, very white state, not a lot of diversity, and so I wasn't really exposed to a lot of really any kind of different style of worship than just how I grew up worshiping. So being on this team, it wasn't just exposure to other styles, but actually being able to dig in, one on a musical level, but also forming deeper relationships with people who are in the stories of those different worship styles, and learning how to care for them as people, as well as stand with them in their stories. And so that's been a huge impact on me, and it's also helped me dig deeper into my story as a white guy here in North America, into what my worship story and culture is. Yeah, so I am introducing worship that you find in predominantly white churches in North America. I think it's kind of an interesting tradition to introduce to everybody, because it's one I'm willing to bet the vast majority of people are already familiar with, no matter what your background is, but you might not necessarily have the language of, oh, that is actually a worship culture from an ethnicity in North America. And so to be able to name that, I think white churches actually do have a worship culture and a worship story that we can all enter into together and honor God in that way. Be prepared to experience new things and be as open as you possibly can. I know from experience in my history going to Urbana that there are a lot of times that we'll be doing things that are different than what I'm used to, or what like my students from Vermont would be used to, and it can feel pretty uncomfortable, and there's always the temptation to disengage. But what I'd say is, don't disengage. Keep pushing through and lean into the awkward sometimes. Because what you'll find is you will come into a better understanding of God, a better understanding of the people who different worship styles are coming from, but also to say that you won't be the only one uncomfortable at Urbana. At different points, everybody will feel that tension, and I think there's a unique solidarity and unification that we get as we help each other kind of push through the awkward and sometimes uncomfortable, but help each other in our journeys. Get ready, Urbana. This thing's gonna go down.